Coming up on this new episode of Your Edmond, we're telling you about Darrell Davis, one of Edmond's newest council members. We also have a golf tip, recycling information, and info on properly planting trees in the right place. Did I also mention that we'll be introducing you to some pets that are available at the Edmond Animal Shelter? There's a lot packed into this show, so let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to this month's episode of Your Edmond. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and on this episode, we'll be giving you some tree planting tips as well as some information on our recycling program. Well, right now, I'm outside of the City Council chambers. Now, on the second and fourth Mondays of each month, city leaders here meet to discuss matters pertaining to Edmond. One of those City Council members joined the council just a few months ago. Here's more about Ward 3 Councilman Darrell Davis.
With council meetings, workshops, and discussions with city staff, Darrell Davis has learned that, although extremely fulfilling, being a council member for Ward 3 can also be very time-consuming.
I've had to learn how to really balance my life even more now. I have a full-time job at the base, and then I have a wife. So I'm trying to juggle all three of those things, balance it, to make sure I give each one the amount of time they need.
That's why you'll find him and his wife Marty spending an evening at the UCO Jazz Lab on the first Friday of every month.
One thing I make sure that we do is our date night.
It's fun because we get to go in there, we have our favorite table and everybody knows where we sit. And we sit there and we just relax, we eat our pizza and listen to the music.
Before there were council meetings, before there were date nights, even before marriage, Councilman Davis spent his childhood and teen years in Cincinnati, Ohio. He later attended Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and graduated with a degree in business administration and management.
And then I moved out here to work in a family business that was supporting some contracts out at Tinker Air Force Base.
When his friend and roommate suggested that he come to work with him at a small collection agency, Darrell filled out an application and took it to the business. It was a trip that changed his life forever. While standing at the front desk, a young lady sitting in the back area caught his eye. He told his friend about the mystery woman.
And I said, wow, she is beautiful. And the guy said, well, hey, I can put you in contact with her.
And I get this note, this guy wants to meet you. And I was like, okay. So, call him. No, I'm not going to call this guy. He can call me. And he called and, we had some phone conversations and then we had a date and had another date. And it was interesting because, we hit it off.
Not long afterwards, Darrell and Marty were exchanging wedding vows, and all because Darrell happened to apply at a job and wanted to learn more about the mystery woman working there.
And then it wasn't until sometime after we got married and things of that nature and told her, you weren't the woman I saw in the back of the room.
Darrell was eventually able to take a position with Tinker Air Force Base in 1985 and worked there ever since. Today, he is a contract negotiator for Tinker, and he also teaches communication and contracting courses for Southeastern Oklahoma State University. He and Marty raised 3 children, all of whom graduated from Edmond Santa Fe High School. Because Marty came from a musical background, there was a strong emphasis on each child playing a musical instrument in the Davis home.
The rule of the house was you learn piano plus one additional instrument.
Darrell's oldest daughter, Asia, played piano and organ. She also performed in many drama productions.
I would call her the actress of the family.
The second child, Debrion, played piano and clarinet. Talon, the youngest Davis child, played piano and string bass.
I play actually piano, the organ, trumpet, cornet, bassoon, clarinet, and flute, and the oboe.
Basically, the whole family except me is musical. I was the roadie. When they performed throughout the state, I was the roadie. I was the one in the back wearing black, getting in the water, changing the music.
But being around talented musicians can be contagious.
He actually taught himself how to play the guitar on his own. I never, ever interfered. And he's actually wonderful with it.
Darrell also enjoys spending time outside. You may see him playing golf, flying kites, fishing at Arcadia Lake, or riding his bike in Edmond.
And that's one of the things I like about Edmond, that you have those abilities, those areas to go to here that you can go. If you want to ride your bike, you can. If you want to go fish, you can. We still have the open air. If I want to go fly on a kite, I don't have to fly it in my yard. I can actually go up to one of the bigger parks.
In 1995, when a new business development was coming close to his neighborhood, Darrell became heavily involved in learning more about the project. At that time, Charles Lamb was the council member for his ward. Darrell talked with Charles many times about the project and asked many questions.
If he sees something that he knows that can be changed, or if it can be developed some way or somehow, he doesn't let it go. This is the man that puts Post-it notes on a mirror in the bathroom because he doesn't want to forget about it. So he is always thinking about something, and he doesn't forget about it.
Darrell's interest on the project made a lasting impression on Charles Lamb.
One day he called me up and said, "Darrell, we have a position on the park board. Would you be interested?" I said, "Sure." Didn't know what a park board did or anything like that, but went on there and loved every minute of my 15 years that I was on it.
We take action here and make recommendations to the City Council, and they usually take ours.
The Parks Board is made up of 10 members and meets every third Thursday of the month at the Multi-Activity Center in Mitch Park. Darrell served on the board for 15 years, 9 of those years as the chairperson. Dennis Shockley, the current chairperson for the Parks Board, worked with Darrell and saw how Darrell conducted the meetings.
Level-headed, always seeking everybody's input on the board. It's a 10-person board. It's a rather large board. I always conducted the meetings with grace and aplomb.
While Darrell served on the Parks Board, he witnessed many projects begin as a discussion item in a meeting that would eventually become a reality in the community.
The development of the MAC, the things that we're doing out at Lake Arcadia, the enhancements that we're doing on the Bickham Ruckman Park.
The improvements to the Hafer ball fields, including the new concession stand and restrooms, were sorely needed, and that got done during Darrell's tenure.
We were able to grow and provide more opportunities for people to get outside.
In September of 2011, a significant change in the City Council provided another opportunity for Darrell to serve his community in a very impactful way. The mayor at the time, Patrice Douglas, decided to accept a position with the State Corporation Commission and resign as mayor. The remaining members of the City Council appointed Charles Lamb as her replacement. To fill the vacant Ward 3 seat, the council asked for applications from qualified residents. Darrell was very interested in applying, but he understood the consequences of sitting on the council too.
And I talked it over with my wife, talked it over with my job, because I knew there's going to be some times I'm going to have to leave to come out here to support the city.
He was apprehensive at first, and his concerns were, well, time. And, you know, we all told him, you know, as a family, Dad, you can do this.
On the evening of November 14th, 2011, the City Council selected Darrell to fill the Ward 3 position. At the time, Darrell was in Texas attending his youngest son's master's recital. When he returned to the hotel, he was able to check the internet and learn the news.
I just said, wow. It was exciting. And in the family, we just had a small celebration in Texas that evening.
2 weeks later, with Marty at his side, Darrell was sworn in as Ward 3's newest council member. Since then, Darrell has loved every minute serving on the council and making decisions to improve the city.
When you're sitting up there on the council, you're representing your ward, but you're representing the city there. And you want to make sure that you have all the information you need to make the proper decisions. And so when we receive our packets with the information, what's going to be on the council, there is a certain level of research that I have to do to make sure that I am comfortable with the decisions I'm going to make on the council.
He continuously tries to make sure that he knows what the situation is, what the people are asking for. He wants to know where it is, how it's going to affect the city, how it's going to affect people in general. He's a researcher, so he'll go and he'll check it out, and then he'll come back and he makes notes, and then he'll go again. He'll even do things different times of the day because he wants to know, how is this going to impact Edmond? Will this be an advantage to Edmond? Is this going to help us as a city grow. The council has given him the opportunity to work in the areas where that he's really interested in.
It was just a natural fit for me. My personality, I like getting out, meeting people, things of that nature. And now working with Edmond, it's just beautiful to drive around town and see some of the things that we're a part of. And the kids, when they come home, I said, well, your dad had something to do with that. And they sit back and say, wow.
The City Council meetings are open to the public each month, and they take place on the second and fourth Mondays at 5:30 in the evening. The council chambers are located at 20 South Littler in downtown Edmond. Well, coming up in the show, if you're thinking about planting trees in your yard this spring, well, we've got the information on finding the right tree for the right place. And we have a new segment on our show that has everything to do with recycling.
But before we take a short break, let's see how much you know about Edmond. Just how long is the term for an Edmond mayor? And how long is the term for city council members in Edmond? We'll tell you the answer when we come back.
Acceptable? Yes! Now there are more items you can place in your Edmond recycling bin, like plastics marked 1 through 7. Edmond recycles. It's what we do. Changing your view is what we want to do.
For over a century, Edmond Electric has been owned and operated by the very people we serve. Together, we are a powerful electric utility. We contribute over $5 million annually to help fund vital city services while providing exceptional reliability and some of the lowest electric rates in the metro. So how do we make this possible? Learn more at edmondelectric.com.
Hi, I'm Officer Casey Sedbrook. I am here with a 3-year-old neutered male pit bull mix named Link. He is one of the shelter staff and the volunteers' favorite animals here at the shelter. He has a very interesting story. He was owner surrendered to the shelter. He came in with a lot of wounds to his face and was very fearful of any kind of human interaction, anybody even looking at him. We felt there was something underlying, though, that he needed a chance. So we brought him up to the front office several days in a row, kept working with him, giving him treats, just reassuring him that we're not going to hurt him. And he basically turned into the most loving, loyal companion anybody could ever want. He is housebroken, he is kennel trained, he is so well-mannered that he can be walked without a leash, which is very unique for any animal, especially a shelter animal. He will not leave your side. He is the most affectionate dog we have ever had here at the shelter. He loves to go on car rides. He would be a wonderful dog for anyone that travels a lot and would like a companion to go with them or a stay-at-home person. He is a little fearful of other animals because of the condition he came to the shelter in. So we would prefer he go to a home where he could be the only animal and get all the love and attention that he deserves. He is, like I said, he's just one of the most special dogs that we've ever had come through the shelter. And here's a cat I'd like to tell you about. This is a 2-year-old neutered male named Echo. He's been at the shelter since August of 2011, so he's been here a while and he's ready for a new home. Echo is a very lovable cat. He doesn't seem to mind other cats. He likes to be held. He'll sit in your lap and let you pet him for hours. We have a room full of wonderful cats here at the shelter. Echo is just one of them. He's been here a while, so he needs to get out of here and get a home. If you would like to see any of our available animals, just please go to edmondok.com, and that has a list of all of our available dogs and cats here at the shelter. And if you'd like to come out and meet Echo, you are more than welcome. We are at 2424 Old Timbers Drive, right off of I-35 in Covell. We are just east of I-35 and south of Covell by Fire Station number 5. And if you would like to call about any of the animals, there are knowledgeable staff members that can assist you with any questions you have. The number is 216-7615. We'd love to see you guys out here and assist you with finding a new member for your family.
So just how long is a term for city council members and a mayor in Edmond? Well, the mayor of Edmond serves a 2-year term, while a city council member is elected to serve a 4-year term.
Each year we celebrate Arbor Week in the month of March. Now, our community understands the importance of trees, which is why we've been recognized as a tree city for the past 13 years. Though we like to plant trees and enjoy them, there are a few things to remember when planting them in your yard. Here's how you can find the right tree for the right place.
When you enter Edmond, one thing you may notice is the large number of trees throughout our city. They grow in our parks. They decorate our street medians. Their abundance in Edmond is why we have been named a tree city for many years now. Trees have many benefits to our landscape. They create cooling shade, reducing temperatures on pavement and surrounding areas. Trees can create boundaries for some properties, and when placed correctly, trees can reduce summer air conditioning costs. For example, large deciduous trees on the south and west sides of a house will shade the roof of your home during the hottest part of the day, reducing energy consumption. A tree that shades an air conditioning unit can improve energy efficiency too. Trees also reduce winter heating costs. Evergreen trees and deciduous trees that are planted on the north side of a home can provide a windbreak, blocking cold winter winds and reducing energy usage. Trees also provide great landscaping. And let's not forget about the little animals that depend on trees for food and shelter. Yes, trees certainly have their advantages, especially when they're the right tree planted in the right place. If planted in the wrong location, trees can cause property damage, become a nuisance to neighbors, or even become a safety risk. Tall trees don't do so well when placed under electric lines. They require continuous pruning, and they're capable of causing outages during high winds and icy weather conditions. So when you're thinking about adding trees to your property, be sure you choose the right tree for the right place. Remember that some tree species fulfill certain functions better than other species. Large oak trees make great shade trees, while dense evergreens with branches to the ground create very effective windbreaks. Different trees have unique shapes and space requirements. Broad canopied trees such as American elm are not suitable for tight spaces between buildings. Some trees are adapted to specific environmental conditions. For example, there are tree species that have high moisture requirements and become stressed during periods of drought or when they do not receive supplemental water. When looking for the right place to plant a tree, it certainly is good for you to identify utilities above the ground, like electric lines. It's necessary to locate utility lines below ground, too. Think about the life of the tree and its branch and root qualities, and determine if that particular tree will interfere with those utilities in its lifetime. Just remember, right tree, right place. Find out more about selecting the right tree for your property by visiting edmondok.com/trees.
Well, here we are at Kickingbird Golf Club. The tip I have for you today addresses the most important part of the game, I feel, and the ball should find the hole. Welcome to Kickingbird Golf Club. The tip that I'd like to go over with you today is called, I really want to discuss the differences actually, and the difference between a standard pitch shot and a soft lob shot, which I recommend to a lot of my students to use when the pin is closer to you. We're here at Kickingbird today. We're off of number 18. As you can see, I'm to the right side of the green. I've got a pin that is pretty close to me. And rather than hitting a specific pitch shot to this pin, I'm going to show you how to hit the soft lob. Now, a standard pitch shot. I do tell my students, if the nerves have got you, you're working, you've got a good round going, I do want you to play the safest shot. And the safest shot is just a standard pitch shot with your feet either square or slightly open and your club face in a square position to the golf ball. And your effort is just going to be tick, tock, and carry the ball out onto the green. Now that's the safest shot. The shot that I want you to try to practice, and you can do that, we've got plenty of chipping facilities out here at Kickingbird, is what I like to term the soft lob shot. Many of you may think that I'm going to show you how to hit the shot that Phil Mickelson hits. No, that's a pretty tough shot and that requires a lot of practice. But the soft lob that I call it, it's just a higher pitch shot, is basically when you open your stance, which means I'm going to aim my feet well to the left of my target, and so that I hit the ball fairly straight, I'm also going to open up my club face quite a bit. Now when I do this, I recommend to all my students, you must get used to making a bigger swing. Do not be scared. You've got to go ahead and swing through, but you open your stance, play the ball slightly forward in your stance, open your club face, make a bigger swing. The ball goes very high up in the air and lands very softly. Now, I will tell you, this is going to take a lot of practice, but once again, let me review many of the fundamentals in an effort to teach you what I would call a soft lob or a higher pitch shot. You must open up your club face, play the ball slightly forward in your stance, open up your stance well left of your target, and make a longer, more accelerating golf swing to pop the ball up in the air for it to land softly. Practice that shot, and when you have short-sighted yourself to a pin, this shot will be the shot that you play, not your normal pitch shot.
It's trash day, which means my recyclables are being collected too. Isn't the recycling program here in Edmond incredibly convenient? Especially now that more items are acceptable in our bins. That's right. Now Edmond's recycling program accepts plastics labeled 1 through 7. So now we can recycle butter containers, yogurt containers, even these plastic flower pots. Just make sure you clean them out first. But what about newspaper and regular paper? Are they acceptable in your bin? That's a big yep. Newspapers can be tricky items that can easily blow away on a windy day. So, how do we keep all these newspapers from littering up our neighborhood streets? Easy. We just take a paper bag and put your newspapers right inside. Then, you just put your paper bag inside your bin. The bottom of the bin is usually the best. And if you need to, just put a brick on top of your items. The operator will know not to take the brick when he comes to pick up your items. But I like to take extra precautions. And be sure not to set out your newspapers in rainy weather. If they get wet, they cannot be recycled, so keep that in mind. Place the bin at your curb before 7 a.m. on your designated collection day, and be sure to leave at least 4 feet of space between your bin and your polycart. And if you don't participate in the recycling program already, a great day to start would be today! You should already have an 18-gallon bin like this. And if you're an Edmond utility customer, you are signed up for the program too. You can find out more about this program by visiting edmondok.com/Edmond Recycles or by calling 216-7743.
So now it's time to wrap up the show, and I hope that you've learned a lot. If you'd like to see the show again or tell someone else about the show, please visit our YouTube page and watch this episode and all of our past episodes of Your Edmond. We also have a lot of other videos on our YouTube page as well. Just search City of Edmond OK. And for more information about tree planting or anything else we've talked about this month, visit edmondok.com. I'll see you next time on a new episode of Your Edmond.